Hello everybody, it is me, GamePenguin21, and today, well, this is the extra video that I said that we were going to be talking about today. This is just a lot of the extra sorts of news outlets and things that I just wanted to talk about that I just happened to, scroll by in my feed and stuff. And we're just going to take a look at a bunch of them here today. Just makes a lot of sense to be doing this, and like I said in the last video, I think the next week I'm going to make only one video or no video at all. Finally breaking my, streak of just making videos for you guys, and I'll probably also slow down on the shorts as well, just because, again, it's become so much work, and I really am trying to work through some burnout here, and it doesn't help that I am trying to do this, and I might actually take like a week-long break for that. So with that being said, what has been going on in the news? Well, a lot of things, actually. More stuff having to do with the online safety stuff, more things having to do with games, and even something having to do with a very weird story with the with allegedly the FBI and Pokemon cards. So we have all of that to talk about today. But of course, before we get started, those of you like what it is that I do and support me in either way, shape, or form, like and subscribe, all of that good stuff, please, I'm trying to hit 1.5k by the end of the year, would be helpful. With all that being said, what are we talking about? Well, obviously, one of the first things that we're talking about today is the repealing of the Online Safety Act. Now, the repealing of the Online Safety Act has reported on by a number of people, hit nearly 500,000 signatures within the UK's offices to try to get a petition going for that. And the response from the government has been swift and illogically fucking kind of stupid, because they're basically saying, well, think of the children and the safety of them. You must give up your privacy and your things, which the majority of people have, in order to, not have that. It's insane to me how, again, this sort of response is somewhat justified. It's really weird, and to be quite honest, I don't think anyone at all really agrees with it, because while yes, we are anonymous online, having to make sure that we give up more and more and more of our personal data to these people, to specific companies that try to say it's for your security, doesn't really help. To me, this kind of reeks of one of those cyberpunk places where it's like, this whole firewall here is for your security, for your thing, and we all know how well that goes, and how well it actually works in the long term. There's no exploits, weirdness, or anything like that, obviously. It's very weird how this sort of thing can happen, but all that I would really say is, while yeah, there are probably better ways of going about this, including, actually trying to check a few things, but at the end of the day, what can you really do? It's just one of those things that's kind of a balancing act. Whether or not you agree or disagree with this sort of stuff, let's just know that this sort of thing has also led to, I believe, certain other regulations in specific countries. I think North Korea and or China. I don't remember specifically which country this was in, but you are not allowed to play past a certain amount of time to avoid gaming addiction. It's 2 or 3 hours or something like that. Just very strange in general. Next up here, we have KJ Gamer with question, why are the hardcore PC crowd so vocal and angry, especially the YouTubers, about Nintendo key cards? You guys have been pro digital for 15 years. Now, while yes, a lot of people in the PC space have been pro digital because there is enough benefits to the PC being all digital, to be quite honest, there is a number of drawbacks as well, one of, if not the biggest ones, being gaming ownership, which has been an ongoing topic, which is why Stop Killing Games itself reached over 1.4 to 1.5 million signatures as of me saying this one sentence, at least as far as I can tell. It's insane how, Nintendo, which was the last bastion of actually being what people wanted in terms of physical media, has now since died out. They held on for quite a long time, but at the same time, it also makes it hard for things such as gaming preservation on the specific hardware of that thing. Now, again, this merely calls for certain games as well, and it would still be for that. The first-party games will still be on that, but then at the same time, one of the other stupid things is that they still have a lot of other gaming practices that a lot of people just don't fucking agree with. And it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. It's just real weird. But the reason why, the PC crowd is doing that is because, the Nintendo fanboys aren't going to fight for their right to, own their games, but, whatever, I guess. The Black Viking here with a little bit of a side tangent. This one I found at a very interesting time. And I wanted to talk about this because the sort of thread and the whole Game Pass and people don't buy games because of Game Pass is just very weird, and I wanted to kind of just showcase a little bit of the actual people that buy games off of Game Pass, because yes, you can buy games off of Game Pass. It is not a rental service. Yes, you can play a lot of games off of it, but you can also use the discounts that you're kind of purchasing to buy the game. It just makes, very weird that you have to pay into subscription services in order to get a discount. But I digress. It basically says, I have a Game Pass and I have purchased more games since subscribing to the service. Game Pass introduced me to different genres of games that I would have previously overlooked, and in turn made me purchase more games that were similar. Argue with your mama, I'm swimming in games. Now, again, this is probably a little bit of one of those rage-baity ones, which, good for Mr. Viking here to actually get some good games off of Game Pass and actually use the services how it's intended, i.e. purchasing the games that he otherwise wouldn't have. Now, again, this is just one person that does this, but again, it just to show you that when they say no one does it, it's just kind of weird. Yeah, certainly there might be the exception to the rule of no one buys games on Xbox, but I highly doubt that. Silent HXH here says, wait until you find out demos could have achieved the exact same thing without 1, paying a monthly sub, or 2, destroyed Xbox console sales, forcing Microsoft to become a third-party publisher. With the Black Viking saying, not true, attach rate is higher for games on Game Pass versus demos. Now, I think that this more or less comes down to a couple different things. While yes, the attach rate might be higher for games on Game Pass versus game demos, demos themselves are free, and the people that would want to play those games for free usually aren't the ones that are going to necessarily buy the same games. It really depends at this point on what you're talking about here, but saying that paying a monthly subscription, destroying Xbox console sales, and forcing Microsoft to become a third-party publisher as the result of Game Pass, I think that Microsoft mainly did that to themselves for a lot of things. Because while, yeah, you could blame Game Pass for that, you could also blame what was the actual originator of the problem, and that being the Xbox One, which had abysmal sales and had a number of problems with it going into just the launch of it, that it basically killed in the entirety of the momentum for that gaming console. And Microsoft is still feeling the effects of that to this day. Yeah, they did pull out of a nosedive, but they had to completely switch it because of the Xbox One. And yeah, they might have further destroyed it in theory of having it because of Game Pass, but they kind of had to do that to survive. And, they actually ended up making more money because of that pivot rather than, just simply relying on console sales. Again, at the end of the day, Xbox One was really the origin of the problem and not just whatever the fuck you're saying here with Game Pass. He then goes on to say, you said Game Pass introduced you to different genres. A demo would have done the same thing. I don't think you know what attach rate is. An attach rate requires an actual sold product. Game Pass is not doing that. With Black Viking giving a good old thumbs up. You, again, failed to recognize that you can buy games through Game Pass. While Game Pass itself is a rental service, and no one's ever denied that, one of the biggest things here is that, again, Game Pass themselves, you can purchase games through it at a reduced value. Yeah, certainly you're paying for that value initially for that discounted price, but you can still buy games through Game Pass. I don't think a lot of people keep doing that, and they're saying oh, you don't know what an attach rate is. You mean him buying the game, which he basically said in the main tweet, with him saying, yeah, I've bought more games through Game Pass because of Game Pass, and stuff like that. How is that wrong? How is that, a person not buying a product? Yeah, certainly there are certain games that he thinks that there are trash, and, absolutely go ahead and, say that those games are garbage. But he has been introduced to more games, at least from him, and, played and bought more games because of Game Pass, which, again, is really fucking weird how people continue to not understand that you can buy games through Game Pass. It's really weird. Juro here says, what an odd way to admit you're poor. What, him buying more games through Game Pass? Because again, people continue to misinterpret the thing as saying, oh, Game Pass is just a rental service. There is no way to burn with games there. Even though I myself, who have used the service in the past, not currently because I need to save money, and yeah, I know how ironic that sounds, but again, no real income. He says like, oh, just admit you're poor, when he says that he buys more games through Game Pass, which again, you can do. People continue to forget that, and I don't understand why people continue to argue this point. Next up here, we have, I think this is another response with Magnum Fork, saying Xbox's storefront is going to rival Steam soon. There's always a sale and deals on digital games. With Xbox talking about, hey, just FYI, you got some discounted video games, saving up to 90% on these things for Xbox. Now, again, at the time of me recording this video specifically, I don't think that there's a sale going on. There might be one for Gamescom or something. But not only is there just sales in general, but even when there's not a sale, so I'm just going to my wish list here. I'm not actually going to do anything. Scrolling down here, actually, I might record this after the fact, but the day that there is no real, like, sales happening, as far as I can tell, on my wish list, there is a number of games that are currently on sale up to 75 to 80% off. And it's very interesting how even when there's no, like, sale happening, there is still a bunch of games that are discounted. And about, like, I don't know, 10 of the games that I have at least, and this is just my wish list too, it's a little bit insane. You also have discounts and events, which is a dedicated tab as well on Steam that shows you some of these sales that go up to 90% sometimes, and is a bunch of random games, even some franchise sales, as well as like a bunch of these other games as well. Just saying, you know, sales do happen very frequently to the point of where discounts and events is its own fucking dedicated position on Steam. Just saying. But we move on, I guess. You know, gonna rival Steam soon because of sales. DRRAC Gaming, I guess, with Xbox will be abandoning Play PS in the console space, as Xbox will finally be what it always was, a PC designed disguised as a console that gives Xbox full advantage of the genius behind Microsoft technology, giving gamers right out of the package the quickness of a console and the power of a PC. I really don't think that's going to happen, at least in terms of what the second half of that is saying. I think they are going to eventually start exiting out of the console market, as far as I can tell, which, again, is very easy to predict, more or less. It's like predicting the weather. It's easier said. Sometimes in execution it's a little bit more difficult. But as far as I can tell here, saying that it's a PC designed as a console, I guess, and saying that you're going to take advantage of the Microsoft technology. Have they not already been doing that, I guess, with the Windows thing? Because I thought that Microsoft itself was like a Windows, or Microsoft, like Xbox's console was a Windows machine that just had a very decent operating system. I don't think that they're going to have the power of a PC, really, because the PC is, again, its own thing. I would find it interesting if there was like an Xbox branded, say, like PC parts. That would be fucking weird. And that might be the actual only way that they're going to be doing that. But I don't think that Xbox itself is just going to be more than a console, or at least the next one is. Maybe I'll be wrong and I'll eat my words. I'm 100% ready to do that. But as of right now, I don't see what you're talking about here. And it just makes no sense here. Nicola coming in with a banana fuck took the bait and made his weekly bleh point again. Now, the Switch is not praised as worth owning because of its first-party games, but because it's portable. That's why the Steam Deck is so popular. Steam Deck has sold 4 million units in 3 years. Okay, that's about 1.5 million units a year if you're going to be generous in that. That's a pretty decent adoption rate for a place where, you know, the console itself or the Steam Deck itself is being only sold in one place. And nobody tells you that you can stand a Steam Deck you can only get the Steam Deck from Valve, as pointed out by Asteroid Cyborg here. Now, again, from one storefront to be sold at 1.5 million average per year. Again, this is an average, it's not the actual amount. That's from his numbers that he's presenting here, right? 4 million units in 3 years, meaning that is about 1.5 million units a year, with no signs of seemingly stopping. But even still, this is only from one storefront, from one place. That is a metric butt ton of money. For just math's sake here, let's just say, for instance, we were to give the lowest amount possible in terms of the Steam Deck, that being at around $400, which is, again, now $50 less, or $50 less than the Switch 2, right? For that amount, $399 or $400-ish for that thing, and we can calculate in some other stuff later, around that number is like a fuck ton of money for 4 million at $399. I can't do the math in my head right now because the number is just like inconsequentially fucking huge. But that's a lot of money going to Valve, and that is on the low end. Again, don't even get me started on it if you go for the higher end at the 649 or 650 mark, where that if that was even about half of those sales, at about 2 million of those sales being at the 650 mark, Jesus H. tapped into Christ, that is going to be insane. For me, myself, I actually bought, I think, the 550 one when it was like the mid-tier. And they're still, again, available at 3 to 5 business days. It's ridiculous how people continuously say, oh, it only sold like 4 million in this amount of time in 3 years. Yeah, because it's only on one storefront and it's only on one place to really buy it as of right now. I don't see any other places where you can buy it, at least not on Amazon or any places like that. Maybe Amazon has bulk bought them and then they're just reselling them or something. I don't know. I'm not a fucking horse whisperer. But again, if they were on even one more storefront that was digital, say on I don't know, they were working with GOG or something else, or even working with Amazon for something, guess what? You can literally see the sales skyrocket because of that. But this is a niche device, and this is only available, again, on one platform as far as we could tell. I haven't seen it on anywhere else. It's very weird to me how you're saying, oh yeah, it's so popular at 4 million in 3 years, being that it's 1.5 million, being sold every year. In more interesting gaming news that kind of pissed people off that I'm not really going to get into, but I wanted to talk about, is that there is a special Warbound for the ODSTs, or the Halo people. That's right, Arrowhead themselves has gone ahead and decided to make a little bit of a promotional Helldivers Warbound that is essentially now talking about Halo. Pretty cool, and this pissed a lot of people off, mainly in the fact that they didn't want mainly the fact that the PlayStation fanboys, I should say, didn't really want them, or not, you know, it's just gonna not be good because why would pander to people who are doing that? It's really interesting. Now into a Weird Dexerto article I wanted to talk about a little bit. With the FBI caught someone spending $140,000 on Pokemon cards and video games with their company credit card. He is sentenced to 4 months in federal prison and was ordered to pay back $146,000 in restoration. Now, I didn't look into this story too much. It's probably one that I'm going to do a much longer video on because that's fucking hilarious. That I think that the FBI caught someone spending it on the company credit card, probably having to do either with the FBI themselves or with just a company in general. It's very weird to me how this person only got caught after $140,000 of Pokemon cards. Now, these could have been very rare ones, but I highly doubt that. I'm also kind of wondering what the kind of hits that he got for it. Maybe he got like some of them, what's it called, rated for something, because 140 million is Jesus, 140,000, my mistake, it's just a lot of fucking money to be spending on Pokemon cards. It's very strange. And I think to kind of round this whole thing off, we're just going to take a quick look at Call of Duty and the recent updates there. And all you really have to know is this is the like to dislike ratio on the newest Call of Duty Black Ops 7 trailer, I believe. I believe we're at 6 or 7. I don't remember. But this is a new Black Ops trailer. This is the like to dislike ratio, and yikes. So yeah. With all that being said, I think that'll about do it for this episode of I Rant Into a Microphone about random stories, because, you know, I really need to just keep my moment of, I was gonna say a moment of sanity, but I need to keep my sanity in check for some reason. Overall, what have we learned today? Well, we've learned that you should not be spending $140,000 on your company credit card for Pokemon cards. You should probably think about, you know, not being a PlayStation fanboy and yelling at people that you don't know anything, even though they clearly admitted that they do one thing, but you're claiming the exact opposite thing in the tweets, despite the fact that there's evidence to the contrary. And, you know, basically be an open mind and don't be a freaking fanboy, as we talk about a lot of these videos. In any case, my name is Campaign21. If you like what I do, and want me other way, shape, or form, other than like and subscribe, which is always enough. Link down to everything in the description below. Look at it, 1.5K by the end of the year. Please do all of that. My new album is going to probably be dropping September late, because again, I don't really want to overflow this channel with a lot of music and stuff like that. If you want to check out my second channel, by the way, I do now have a second channel. It's going to be basically a dump for longer form content, that being hours and hours of content where I am portraying characters online. It's, again, links to that is more or less in the description. It's just for probably other gaming stuff and other uncut content that I really don't care to put on the main channel, because it will basically, you know, not have it be there. But if you want some more longer content, want more of me talking, and, you know, an interesting, actually pretty compelling story that might or might not be going somewhere, links down to that in the description below. My name's Campaign21, and peace. Can I get a favor? Yeah, sure, I know.